I have the pleasure of introducing what we have as a collaborative research showcase, where we will have videos from 4 early career researchers working across the institutions. And what we're going to do is highlight different components of research policy and practice in and around this, particularly in and around sort of multi-stakeholder collaborative kind of research. And this really, this partly arose from one of the experiences that came out of the launch of the climate and health group that we had a few weeks ago, where particularly links for early career researchers across the sector were highlighted as something as potentially being very important to get research projects moving off the ground. So without further ado, what I will do essentially is that I'll introduce all of the speakers as they go along. We're going to hear 4 short presentations. Don't forget that there will be poll details that are coming into the chat for you to have a look at, the poll, and they'll be shown during the presentation. So if you have any questions for the presenters, please put them in the chat. And at the end of this, Marcel McManus, my co-chair, will go through the final word cloud results and talk about how we can take this forward for during her closing remarks. So I'm going to start off with Léna Prouchet. Léna is a PhD student from the Exeter Business School, and she's going to give us a brief presentation.
Tropical forests. They're much more than a gathering of trees. They are complex ecosystems that help regulate the climate and provide a wide range of services, such as clean water or food. We often hear that forests have to be protected from human action, which is pictured as detrimental. But in fact, what is detrimental is not the human presence per se, but more a certain type of action on these ecosystems. Actually, indigenous peoples have been managing great areas of forest in a sustainable manner for millennia. Did you know that indigenous peoples occupy 20% of the world's land surface and preserve 80% of the world's biological diversity? But today, these communities are facing increasing pressures. These include external pressures such as illegal logging, mining, or internal pressures such as the need for cash to pay for food or school equipment for children. To address these issues, some communities have decided to partner with NGOs. They collaborate on a wide range of projects to improve local livelihoods, so communities are better equipped to protect their land. My research focuses on a collaboration between an NGO and 2 indigenous communities in Peru. More specifically, I'm looking at a project around cocoa and coffee growing and marketing. Growing cash crops is a strategy which is often implemented in such partnerships. It is based on the idea that growing and selling these crops will increase revenue of community members and therefore decrease dependency on external funding and support. That is in theory. And in some cases, this might work. But there are also potential risks to these projects. One set of risks relate to global value chains. The price of coffee and cocoa crops highly varies, and producers usually get less than 1/10 of the final value of the product. Additionally, it might be that communities do not wish to dedicate time to this activity and prefer to develop other projects such as subsistence agriculture. In my research, I aim to compare the creation, the development and sustainability of these cash crops projects in 2 different communities in Peru. My objective is to understand if and when the development of such enterprises is adapted to support communities to protect their land. The goal is to formulate recommendations on best practices conservation NGOs can use while working with indigenous communities. Only projects that are culturally appropriated and that put the needs and desires of local inhabitants will be able to last and have long-term effects on forest preservation.
Thank you very much, Lena. Did you want to add anything to your presentation?
Maybe the last word that was cut, forest preservation. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be part of this event today, and I think that one of the elements that was underlined by previous speakers is the need for interdisciplinarity. I'm actually based in the business school and doing research on indigenous communities, but actually I think my research is really relevant for climate topics, so very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lena. Okay, if that's the case, then we'll pass on to Dr. Oscar Berglund, who's a lecturer in international public and social policy at the University of Bristol. He's part of a GW4 funded collaborative project investigating green recovery from COVID-19 in Bath, Bristol, Cardiff and Exeter.
This short video introduces the GW4 research project, Rhetoric and Practices of Green Recovery in Cities. The members of our team all come from different disciplinary backgrounds, including political economy, environmental social sciences, and English literature.
Hi, my name is Oscar Berglund. I'm a lecturer in international public and social policy at the University of Bristol. I research primarily climate change activism and particularly civil disobedience and direct action. So I've done quite a lot of research on Extinction Rebellion over the last couple of years.
Hi, I'm Sofia Hadjisavidou and I'm a senior lecturer in politics at the University of Bath. I study climate politics and I'm interested in how different political actors use the rhetoric of green recovery and how their rhetoric, how their discourse generates political change.
Hello, I'm Jess Britton. I'm a research fellow in geography at the University of Exeter, working on energy policy and governance. My interest in green recovery is focused on understanding how policy and practice is structured across local, regional and national levels, and how the green recovery agenda might reshape our cities into the future.
Hi, I'm David Shackleton. As a lecturer in English literature at Cardiff University, I'm interested in the power of stories to shape our responses to climate change and to motivate people to take action.
Hi, my name is Celia Robbins. I'm a PhD student at the University of Exeter. My research is about communities and the transition to renewable energy.
My interest in this project is really to see who's heard in conversations about societies and cities growing back after COVID and how that can be done in a green way. It's to see what kind of power relations become apparent then, and it's also about bringing some people and some groups into the discussion more, and that's one of the things that we hope to do through the workshop that we organised in September.
On the 16th of September, we held a workshop in Bristol. We brought together activists, community organisations, trade unions, local politicians and the public sector from across the GW4 cities to discuss the challenge and the opportunity of green recovery.
Well, thank you very much for the video. Indeed, Oscar, would you like to add to your video?
Yeah, a few comments of what we found that we got out from the workshop. And one thing is that we really find that these debates about green recovery has the potential to bring together a lot of different groups in the cities, which we did, and that particularly in a way that it connects kind of concerns about climate, inequalities, employment, and these concerns about the future linked to both coming out of the pandemic and addressing climate change. It really showed the kind of richness of community action and activism in our cities, and that perhaps that a lot of that community action that has been really apparent under COVID is a slightly untapped resource when it comes to addressing climate change from the bottom up. We find that it's very important to engage a diverse range of voices, which is often said, and we tried to do that here. We want to do that even more as this project goes along, and that this idea of kind of just transition is really central to that, and that's an idea that a lot of different parts of the communities can really get around. And lastly, I would say that the experience of bringing together these different parts of the region really kind of show that it's quite rare. It's quite rare to take this kind of regional approach that the GW4 wants to do, and that a lot of community actors really appreciate that. It makes them feel less small in comparison to state and government, and like there's more opportunities for collaboration. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Okay, the next presentation then, it comes from Dr. Roberta De Angelis. She's a lecturer in marketing and strategy at the Cardiff Business School. And Roberta is going to talk to us about business model innovation in the circular economy.
Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to share my research interests with you today. My name is Roberta De Angelis, and I am a lecturer in marketing and strategy at Cardiff University Business School. My research interest is in business models based on circular economy principles. So, to begin with, what is the circular economy and why is it becoming so relevant in the context of this planetary emergency? Well, our linear operating production and consumption systems based on the linear logic of take, make, and dispose are wasteful. By contrast, a circular economy seeks to eliminate waste and pollution, to keep products and materials in use, and to regenerate natural systems. And so, why is the circular economy so important to move towards a net zero economy? Well, meeting the climate targets means also to address the emissions that are associated with the productions of materials and goods, and not just those that are associated with energy. And by transforming the way in which we make and use products, the circular economy can contribute to emission reductions. By keeping products in use for longer, by recycling materials for primary materials, virgin primary materials such as aluminium, plastics, steel can be reduced, and with it the emissions that are associated with their production. What's more, the circular economy enhances resilience against the physical effects of climate change. By keeping materials in use, business leaders can mitigate the risks that are associated with the use of raw materials that are vulnerable to climate shocks. Circularity is also a huge economic opportunity. In fact, research indicates that a global economic opportunity worth $4.5 trillion exists if circular economy principles are translated into practice. Then the fundamental question becomes, how can the circular economy be implemented? One of the key building blocks in the transition towards the circular economy is business model innovation. A business model is commonly referred to as the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. There are several innovative business models based upon circular economy principles that are emerging within the business context. With my research, more recently, I have come across with the business model of Wasted Apple. Wasted Apple is a Cornish born circular firm, which uses locally grown apples that would have otherwise ended up as a waste to produce and offer locally crafted 100% natural apple juice and dry apple cider. From preventing apple from being wasted to encouraging the local community to take up initiatives to reduce wastefulness, to bringing a range of traditional yet innovative products to the market, Wasted Apple cases demonstrates the range of ecological, economic, and social value creation resulting from the implementation of circular business models. So if you want to read and know more about my research, you can do so by following these links as detailed on this slide, or you can contact me via email. So thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Roberta. And the final presentation that we have is from Dr. Elli Nikolaidou, who's a research associate at the University of Bath Department of Architecture and Civil Engineering, and he works on an active building centre project.
Great. Let me share my screen. Hope you can see my slide now.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. Let me. Okay, great. So I'm Elli Nikolaidou, and I've been working on the Active Building Centre Research Programme. The programme brings together several universities, including the University of Bath and industry partners, to change the way the UK designs, constructs and operates buildings, and enable the decarbonisation of the next generation of buildings, which we call active buildings. Now, some key questions arise at this point. For example, what is an active building? How would you define it? And these have already been answered by 30 industry experts. And we are now going to see whether you agree with them or not through a live poll. Now, to join, you can just scan the QR code or open your web browser and type in the given address. Then please enter the session ID, that's GW4 2021, and press join session. And please do it now so we can start. I'll give you a few seconds. Until you get ready, just to say that you have 30 seconds per question, and you can select up to 2 responses. Responding is optional, of course, but your opinion does matter, and it will actually help us inform our research. Just to say that all responses are anonymous, as you aren't requested to provide your name. And I hope you're all ready now. Let's start. Okay, so first question, what best describes your professional role? So please vote. Ten seconds left. Okay, so most of you are academics and researchers. Okay, good to know. Let's move to the next one. What is missing from existing regulations and standards? Let's vote. Five seconds. Okay, so the most popular answer for you was whole life perspective, while for the industry experts that was post-occupancy evaluation. Hope we'll have more time later to discuss the results further. Let's move to the next one, which is what is an active building? How would you define an active building? So we would like to actually understand how you interpret the term active. Let's vote. Okay, so the most popular answer was being responsive to internal and external conditions, followed by being responsive to the needs of occupants. While for the industry experts, being responsive to the needs of the energy infrastructure was the most important answer. So this interaction with the electricity grid in order to achieve decarbonization. Let's move to the next one. How should the performance of active buildings be assessed? Let's vote. Okay, I'm curious to see. Okay, so most of you voted carbon, and I think that was the same for industry experts. So, okay, so here you agree with them. And the last question is, what are the challenges to the popularization of active buildings? Let's vote. Okay, 10 seconds. Few last responses. Okay, so the most popular answer was expensive technologies. Okay, so hope that will change over the next years. While for the industry experts, that was our culture. Okay, so it's important, in addition to the technological advancements, to also change our mindset. So some of you voted this one. Thank you for your participation. I don't know if we've got any time to discuss the results further. I'm just a bit conscious of time. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Elli. We've just literally got a minute or two. I have one question from Lorraine that's actually focused towards Roberta, and that is, how do we upscale these circular economy ideas and support for SMEs like the Waste Apple project? I don't know if you're there. No, Roberta is.
Unfortunately, Roberta is the one member of the showcase session who couldn't be here today. So any questions for her, we will forward them to her and ask them to get in touch with you directly. I think we have one question for the entire panel. And Mike, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump ahead here and just ask, which is to all of you, do you feel you are leading the charge on the issues that you've presented on, or are you happy with the progress that universities have made so far in these areas? A bit of a challenging one, and I'm going to ask you to keep to 30 seconds. Good luck.
Are we going by order? Yeah, okay. I would say my field is quite niche, but I think that it would be possible to connect it with other issues related to forest preservation. I was saying to development. So what I think is missing right now is connection between departments. I think there is a lot of expertise in different areas, but we don't really know how to talk to each other. And I think one of the problems of most PhD programs is that when you look at the advertising, it promotes interdisciplinarity, and then once you're starting your project and you're trying to do interdisciplinary projects, you're told to stick to your area, your department, if you want to publish in a certain field. So I feel there is a gap in that, and I hope academia is going to move into this direction, because we need to all work together if we want to address those challenges.
Yeah, that was a difficult question, but I mean, we certainly try to do our best. I think we do. Our project aligns pretty well with the aims of the GW4 climate network is set out today. I think in terms of, we're bringing together different areas of expertise, albeit within the social sciences and not sciences, and really try to engage actors in the cities and communities where we are, and thinking creatively about how communities and cities can address the climate change. So we do our best, basically.
Okay, it's me now. Yeah, okay. So I think that I'm happy in general with our progress, and I've seen actually the effort that our university and the Department of Estates, what they are doing, and it's really, impressive. Of course, there are other challenges that are not only related to the buildings themselves, like Scope 3 emissions and traveling, transportation of goods. So I can see that it can be challenging. And, there is an expression, I don't know if it makes sense in English, but we say that the enemy of good is better, that there is always space for improvement. And I think behavior change, so what we discussed earlier, is very important. And, one of our answers here was our culture, that we actually need to change our mindset and not prioritize just capital cost over other important priorities like respecting the environment. Just on time, I think.
Thank you all. I will hand over directly to our final speaker in that case. So Marcel McManus, co-chair of the Climate Alliance Steering Group, will give us a brief introduction to Mentimeter results and a summary of the day. Good luck in 3 minutes, Marcel.
Oh, 3 minutes, it's decreased already. So hopefully someone's going to share the screen with the Mentimeter results so that I can have a look at that and share it with you. But first of all, I'd just really like to say thank you to all of the speakers for your time and for sharing your insights at the event. And thank you to the audience for coming, for engaging in the debate, for listening to some quite controversial views. And really some of the things that we saw today have just been wonderful. So we started with Tim Smith, a real call to arms and a challenge to our current way of thinking. I think it surprised some people that we have this cry to be more innovative, to put our education to better use, to be more agile and more creative. Tim's talk was really challenging, quite provocative, and maybe a little controversial, some might say. And I really loved it. I absolutely loved it. It pulled on some of the key themes of GW4, including transformative change that is really, really needed. So the panel sessions were also great. There was lots of thought, lots of inspiration of what to do and how we can improve. And clear from that was the importance of collaboration and an inclusive approach. And you can see from the Mentimeter really what we see, the collaborative challenges that we should prioritise. We see across the board net zero, water, inequality, mobility, biodiversity, health. All of these things are things that we, as a group, we have the opportunity to work on. We have the opportunity to put those brains into action and to clean up the rivers, as Tim said to us we needed to do. And I think really, if we can work on that as a group, as a whole, we will really begin to develop something special coming out of the Climate Alliance. So that's what I want to do. This Mentimeter poll will stay on for the next 15 minutes. And there's lots of ways that you can engage with us in the Climate Alliance. You can join us on the website, you can follow us on Twitter, and you can feedback your challenges on this event survey, etc. and I believe the survey will be sent immediately following this event. Now I see that we're already at 3 o'clock, but I just want to learn. I learned a lot today. I learned that it's okay to be sweary and challenge people when there's something just so important as biodiversity collapse and climate breakdown at hand, and that's what probably we all need to do a little bit more of. Let's challenge ourselves, let's challenge each other, and let's do better. Now, in the panel session, there was a comment that ending on a positive note meant that less action, so I'm not going to end on a positive note. I'm going to end along the lines of Tim Smith's presentation. We should be ashamed of the position we're in. We need to do better. We can't solve any of the challenges we face on climate emergency or biodiversity collapse using the same thinking that got us here. So we've got to do better. We've got to be more diverse in our thinking and in our being. So work with us to do that. Thank you very much. Keep in touch.